Okay, I'm going to move on to two letters, Franz Joseph and Kaiser Wilhelm. Franz Joseph of the Austria-Hungarian Empire and Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany. Franz Joseph was born in 1830, the son of Archduke Franz Karl. He succeeded his feeble-minded uncle Ferdinand I to the throne. Franz Joseph was compelled to grant Hungary autonomy and full parity with Austria in the Compromise of 1867. Henceforth, the empire was known as the Austria-Hungarian Empire, with Franz Joseph as emperor of the first and king of the second, the only common ministries being of those of war, finance, and foreign affairs. Franz Joseph had a long reign all the way to 1916, where he died in the middle of World War I. Franz Joseph suffered a very sad personal life. He was almost assassinated in 1853 when an Italian anarchist stabbed him in the neck, but his thick collar protected him. Then the death of his daughter as an infant, the execution of his brother Maximilian in Mexico in 1867, the suicide of his son Rudolf at Mayerling in 1889, the assassination of his wife, Empress Elizabeth, and in 1914, the assassination of his heir apparent, Franz Ferdinand, in Sarajevo, was really the shot that started World War I. Let's take a look at the letter to Franz Joseph. Baha'u'llah was in the Holy Land when Franz Joseph passed through Jerusalem. In the letter, Baha'u'llah chastised Franz Joseph for not visiting him.
O Emperor of Austria, he who is the dayspring of God's light dwelt in the prison of Akka at the time when thou didst set forth to visit the Aqsa Mosque. Thou passed him by and inquired not about him.
The reason Franz Joseph was in the area was that he was in Egypt for the grand opening of the Suez Canal. He visited the Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, but did not make an effort to visit Baha'u'llah in Akka. Baha'u'llah tells him how to make up for all the years where he failed to recognize his Lord.
We have been with thee at all times, and found thee clinging unto the branch and heedless of the root. Thy Lord verily is a witness unto what I say. We grieve to see thee circle round our name, whilst unaware of us, though we were before thy face. Open thine eyes, that thou mayest behold this glorious vision, and recognize him whom thou invokest in the daytime and in the night season, and gaze on the light that shineth above this luminous horizon.
As we talked about the collapse of all these countries, we must include the collapse of the dynasties that upheld these countries. In Austria, it was the Habsburg dynasty. It goes back all the way to the Holy Roman Empire. The Habsburg dynasty, or family, was the ruling house of Austria, was one of the oldest and most distinguished royal and imperial dynasties of Europe. The family, which dates back to the 10th century with possessions in Switzerland, first came into prominence when Count Rudolf was elected German king as Rudolf I in 1273. With the defeat of Germany and Austria in 1918, the Habsburg Empire broke up and all its successor states declared themselves republics. Let's move on to Germany and Kaiser Wilhelm first. He was born in 1797 and died in 1888. King of Prussia and later the first German emperor, was a cautious ruler who presided over the rise of the Prussian Hohenzollern dynasty to official predominance over most of the other German states. His military career earned him a reputation as a reactionary, and he commanded Prussian troops in suppressing a revolt in Baden. He also survived 3 attempts on his life. One time a bullet hit him in his metal helmet. The biggest accomplishment of Wilhelm was the defeat of Napoleon III in 1870. This victory was the key for Germany and Prussia to become united. He became the first emperor of a united Germany, and he died in 1888. Even though Kaiser Wilhelm won the war and united Prussia with the feudal states of Germany, Baha'u'llah predicted a horrible future for Germany and gave William I a very grave warning. Let's see what Baha'u'llah's letter says to Kaiser Wilhelm.
O King of Berlin, Give ear unto the voice calling from this manifest temple. Verily, there is none other God but me, the everlasting, the peerless, the ancient of days. Do thou remember the one whose power transcended thy power, and whose station excelled thy station. Where is he? Whither are gone the things he possessed? Take warning, and be not of them that are fast asleep. He it was who cast the tablet of God behind him. Wherefore disgrace assailed him from all sides, and he went down to dust in great loss.
As with all the letters, Baha'u'llah starts in very strong language, proclaiming to be the voice of God, and then tries to warn him that he could end up just like Napoleon III. He even asks him what happened to Napoleon III. I think if one reads these letters several times and meditates on what really happened to these leaders, one would have to feel some curiosity about this theme. Baha'u'llah also predicts an awful future for Germany.
O banks of the Rhine, we have seen you covered with gore, inasmuch as the swords of retribution were drawn against you, and you shall have another turn. And we hear the lamentations of Berlin, though she be today in conspicuous glory.
Well, we all know that Germany lost 2 world wars and suffered greatly. Baha'u'llah predicted that.
Think deeply, O king, concerning him, and concerning them who, like unto thee, have conquered cities and ruled over men. The All-Merciful brought them down from their palaces to their graves. Be warned, be of them who reflect.
It is also amazing how each letter and each circumstance is unique. Remember, Baha'u'llah was in a prison cell. Where did all this knowledge come from? How did he know all these world affairs? It's much more than reading newspapers. Next, I will analyze the history of Pope Pius IX and the letter he received from Baha'u'llah, another very interesting story.